Hi, my name is Emily. Thank you so much for watching this video. So what we have here is a panel. All of these students are low-income and first-generation college students who study at Georgetown. We're going to be talking about what it's like to go to college and be from this background. So essentially we want this video to answer any questions that you might have that you might not be able to ask tour guides, or that you just want to learn more about to decide maybe if college is for you or maybe it's not for you. So it's really just about the importance of the experience. It's not very Georgetown specific, although we'll talk about a lot of the resources that we have here at Georgetown. To touch on some of those, if you have any questions about, you want to follow up with the people here, you want to learn more about Georgetown's resources, feel free to reach out to GSPHOYAS at georgetown.edu, but we'll also have the personal emails for all of the students in the description of this video, so please reach out to us. We want to be the mentors and people who can help guide you on this journey, and we're happy to do that. I'm going to be moderating the panel. My name is Emily. I'm the president of Georgetown Scholarship Program. You'll be hearing more about it during the video, and I'm a senior at Georgetown, low income and first gen as well, and I'm excited for you to hopefully get something out of this video, so thanks for watching. Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. We're going to get started by having everyone introduce themselves. Thanks for watching. So will you start by giving your name, your hometown, your year, and your school, and your major, all that good stuff.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. My name is Mariel. I was born in Mexico, raised in East LA. I am in the School of Foreign Service, studying international history. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but and I'm happy to be here.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. My name is Luis. I am a junior in the School of Business. I study finance and minor in government, and I am from Silver Spring, Maryland, but originally born in El Salvador.
Hi everyone, my name is Gladys Adarkwah. I am a sophomore in the college studying government with a minor in African Studies. I was born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, but I live in New Jersey.
Hi everybody, how are you? My name is Deshaun Rice. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a junior in the college, majoring in music, minoring in African American Studies.
Cool, thank you guys. So we're gonna get started with the first question, and it is, did you face culture shock when you came to Georgetown, and if so, how did you overcome that?
So I guess I'm gonna go first. So with culture shock coming to Georgetown, I faced culture shock with financial aspect as opposed to like a race aspect. I went to a high school where most of the students looked like me, were predominantly minorities, but coming to Georgetown, a lot of students here are predominantly white. This is a predominantly white institution, a PWI, so most students here are white. But I remember one time in French, I was taking a final and I realized that I was like the only black person in the class the entire semester. But I feel like if I would have walked into class the very first day and noticed I was the only black person, it would have really impeded on the things I did academically in that class. But I don't like to give a lot of weight to the race aspect of Georgetown because it's not something I can change, and it's something I chose to be a part of. But I think the things I get out of Georgetown outweigh the different things and me not being able to constantly surround myself with people who look like me, talk like me, and also act like me. But coming to Georgetown, financial aspect was what was a culture shock, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. I will reiterate that point because I also come from a low-income background. My high school was filled with diverse students from all backgrounds, and so coming to Georgetown, a campus that's predominantly white, it was a bit of a culture shock. But one thing that I came to realize was that many of the differences that I thought I held with my peers and my white counterparts were actually just like in my head at the end of the day. And so the sooner you realize that there are more similarities in common between you and your peers around you and your fellow students, I feel like the easier it is to overcome that aspect. And aside from that, and other ways to deal with that culture shock, at least personally for me, one thing that I heavily leaned on were the resources that Georgetown has here on campus. And so we're lucky enough to at Georgetown to have things like the Georgetown Scholarship Program, the Center for Multicultural Equity and Access, which I'm sure we'll discuss more in depth as we go on through the rest of the panel. But these are resources where I could go to, and people from my background, low income, first generation, would understand my struggles and help me navigate this new institution that I've never really understood how to navigate. And so that's another way that I learned to deal with this culture shock. But again, I think it's as much of an obstacle as you make it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can piggyback off of that. It was the same for me. I'm low income, first gen as well. And my high school is predominantly black. So as you said, this is a PWI, so it was a total culture shock when I got on campus. Yeah. First day of class, I realized I was the only black kid in my class. I realized that for like 2 years, and I was like, gosh, what I have to do to like take classes with other people who look like me. But then, as Luis was saying, like at the end of the day, like I began that I could relate to my white counterparts in my school, and that, we did have things in common, and they struggled just like I struggled. So it became easier. It's much easier now, much comfortable. I don't feel as alone. As you brought up GSP. GSP does a lot of things, as we're going to talk more about, that brings us together. So where I do get to see people of color, low income, first gen, things of that nature.
I just echo that really quickly. I was part of the Community Scholars Program during the summer, which is a program for mostly people of color, low income like me, and so like I said, most of us were people of color. So when the fall started, I just kind of thought like, where the heck did we all go? And that was something to do with, but like everyone has said, at the end of the day, when you're struggling, when you're sleep deprived, studying for that midterm, you forget like about your differences, and you just realize that we all have this shared experience of coming to Georgetown.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can provide some more context. People have been mentioning Georgetown Scholarship Program. So that's a program that supports over 650 first-generation college students and low-income students at Georgetown. So we really provide a community building mechanism. So we have a lot of events. The peer mentorship program that enables you to meet other students from similar backgrounds as you, just help you and feel like you're not alone here, and you have someone else who you can talk to about those obstacles that you might face as a first and low-income student. We also provide advising from staff members. We have money that we can give for like necessity grants, so an unexpected health cost comes up and we can help pay for that. So it helps cover those extra costs that help you to feel comfortable here at Georgetown, and like you have more resources to give you the full Georgetown experience. But I'll let everyone else give their personal take on resources such as that as the panel goes on. The next question is going to be getting real pretty quickly, but what motivates you to not give up?
Whoa.
So for me, I think something that like motivates me when things get really tough is just kind of taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, right? So personally, when I was in high school, when I was a senior in high school, I didn't even think I was going to go to college to begin with. I thought I was going to go work construction with my dad and just help my family financially. Ended up, kind of like stumbling into like community college, and then later on, fortunate enough to get a scholarship to come to Georgetown. And like I won't, belittle my hard work. I definitely worked hard to get here, but part of that was being fortunate enough to have mentors in my way that like showed me the way, and peers that came before me that guided me. And so when things get tough, I take a step back and realize just how fortunate I am to be here, and the fact that there are other people who come from similar backgrounds as me that don't have this opportunity. Like I almost didn't have this, and there are people who still like sometimes didn't get that chance. My dad had to drop out of school when he was like in 7th grade just to help his family out, and like he wishes he could be in college like to this day, like doing homework, studying. Like he'll study on his own and like just sit down at night and like read because he never got that chance, And so that's something that really motivates me when I'm in the middle of midterms or homework, is just knowing that I am fortunate. Like this is an opportunity that I have that I can't let go to waste, and that many other people wish they had, and so I need to make the most of it.
For me, when things really get tough, I think about how far yet I have to go. So I really like to think about what my end goal is, and college in no shape or form is my end goal, but it's something I have to endure in order to get to my end goal. So whenever things are hard, midterms are really dwelling on me, life takes over, friendships, so just not feeling a good place, I just sit down, and sometimes instead of thinking about all that bad things, I just do things that takes my mind off of it, and then I just revisit the fact that, why did you come to Georgetown in the first place, Gladys? What are you trying to get out of Georgetown? Where do you want to be after Georgetown? And that in itself keeps me pushing, because I realize that this is not some place I want to be for the rest of my life, and that there's more things and more work that I have to do to contribute to the world. So thinking about what got me here and also how much more I have to go really helps me in those times.
So similarly to Luis, my parents brought me to this country because they wanted me to get an education. I remember growing up, I would think like, well, we were born in Mexico and we're born here again. Why are we here? And the answer is for me to obtain an education, and an education at a university like Georgetown. I remember I used to go with my mom to work. My mom used to be a seamstress. Now she's a housekeeper. And they used to tell me like, oh, you should come back to work here, be a receptionist and help us out. We really like you. And I totally support what my mom does, and I think it's an honorable job. But I just knew that was not what my parents came here for and sacrificed so much for. And I just think of that sacrifice every day, and also think about what I want to do with this degree. Help other students like me and like us.
Yeah. I have a lot of things that motivate me. As I said, I'm from Memphis, and at one point in time, it was like I had three choices. It was like either I was gonna end up dead. No, two choices: either dead or either in jail. And I was like, I don't want that to be the end of my story. So, like Gladys was saying, to know how much work it took for me to get here, that I could take that same amount of energy, that same amount of work, and do much more with this degree. That's another thing. And also my son motivates me. I think of him every day. I think of the world that he lives in today, and I think that I don't want him to live through what I've lived through, that what we're living through, that everything that's going on today. So that's just a couple of things that motivate me.
The next question is, if you could offer one piece of advice to your high school self, what would that be?
I can jump in for this one actually. So earlier I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think the biggest thing for me when I was in high school, my high school self, was I wasn't very receptive to help. I didn't want to tell anyone about what was going on in my personal life. My family was struggling with poverty and homelessness at one point, and it was really impeding my studies. And it was like senior year, and people were applying to colleges and stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so eventually, thankfully, I had a mentor, like my high school counselor, who kind of pushed it out of me to tell her what's going on, and showed me the impact that me speaking out and asking for help actually has. And so no one can ever do it alone. Like me being where I am today, I didn't do this alone. Like I had help. I had friends who helped me out, mentors, peers, and that's the way for everyone else. Like you can't figure it out all on yourself. And so that took some time for me to figure out. People want to help you, but you have to help them help you. And so I started speaking out more, telling my story, and not only does it help you personally, but it also gives a voice to those who don't have the platform to voice those similar struggles. And so that was something that was really hard for me to learn. But as soon as I kind of became more comfortable speaking out and being proud of my background and talking about my struggles, the easier it became to find that mentorship, find those resources, find those scholarships that helped me get to where I am today. But it's definitely easier said than done, and it definitely takes a lot of courage to be able to speak out about those struggles. So that's the piece of advice I'd offer.
If you've done the best you can do in your high school career, if you gave it the absolute all, like, it will work out for you, even if it doesn't seem like it at one point or another point. Like, truly relax and also enjoy high school. Like, y'all sleep on high school. Enjoy your final days of high school and where you are, and everything will literally work out. I really mean this. Relax.
And I just want to reiterate a quick point that you actually made earlier. And when it comes to not being afraid, you mentioned not being afraid of applying to things despite like your SAT scores or GPAs. And this is actually a question that we get a lot often. Like, we're talking about advice that we would give our high school selves. And another piece of advice would be that your essays in college applications or scholarships, whatever that might be, are extremely important, because us coming from a background where we might have faced circumstances that not many other students face that are going to college, we have to give some context as to, like, for example, maybe your GPA is not as high as your peers or other people who are applying for certain opportunities. Maybe there's a circumstance that you faced or a challenge that you faced that caused that GPA, but you still worked around it, and you managed to get a certain GPA and you put in a lot of work to get to that GPA. It's different than a student who has a 4.0 that isn't first generation. His parents went to college and helped him out. And so you got to give context, and so that's why I mentioned, like, talking about your story and being open to that. Your essays is where that comes in, and in your essays you have to be very open and blunt about the circumstances that you faced, because that gives more light into those numbers, right? Like your SAT scores, your GPA, it gives more context into your application. And so you want the admission officers to see that, and the people that are selecting candidates to see your circumstances along with the numbers.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that real quick, the reason I brought up that point is a personal experience of mine. My junior year, I almost flunked. I think I had like a 1.2 at the end of the semester or something, going into my senior year. But senior year, I made up classes from junior year, on top of taking AP classes for senior year. And I also had stuff in the past I also had to explain when applying to college. So as Luis is saying, it's always, as I tell kids, like, college do want to see good grades, good test scores, but they also want to see, like, somebody who can endure, somebody who does work hard, that, they know everybody isn't going to make all A's.
Yep.
They know everybody isn't a straight A student, but they want people who work hard. So I always tell kids, like, good grades do matter, but if you don't got them right, but you trying to get back on track, it's still time. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, and I think also another point from that is it's never too late to turn your grades around, to make high school the best that you can be. So just don't give up on yourself either. The next question will be more about financial aid. So if any of you are curious about the financial aid process, we're just going to talk a little bit about what that's like. So are there any requirements for being on full financial aid here? What is that process like for getting scholarship money?
Something that I'll touch on really quickly is the difference between is it need blind and
need.
yes, yeah. So different schools treat like financial aid differently. Georgetown being a private institution, they're able to kind of like do whatever it is that they want with their money, right? So just for an example, I am an undocumented student and I am not eligible for like federal financial aid, like FAFSA or anything of that sort. But Georgetown being a private institution and having the full need policy that they have in place, they're able to kind of match that that gap that FAFSA would have filled instead. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to come to Georgetown, was because they were pretty generous with their financial aid package, and because of my citizenship status, that worked out really well. And it's something that I actually did not know coming in until I actually got my financial aid package. I hadn't heard about, like, to me it was ridiculous that Georgetown was even able to do that, right? And so like I would reiterate the point of and stress that like don't just look at the price tag and then say, oh, I'll never be able to afford that, because there are schools that have policies that can meet those needs. And especially like private institutions, I was looking at a lot into like public schools because I thought those are cheaper, so that's where I can go. State schools oftentimes can't do whatever it is that they want with that money. Even though the price tag is cheaper, they can't offer as much money because they are a state school. So private schools, though the price tag is huge, like $70,000 or whatever, because they are private, they can be more generous with their financial aid. So don't let that stir you away from certain schools, and just keep that in mind as you're looking at the financial aid policies.
If I could just explain those two terms that are really important, is there's full need and there's need blind. So what it means to be need blind is that a university does not consider your financial situation when you're applying to college. So they're not going to hold it against you that they might have to give you a scholarship to help you come here. And that's paired with a full need policy, which means they will provide whatever money it takes to help you get here. So they will estimate how much they think you and your family can pay for college. And that comes from the different financial documents that you'll send over, and that's even negotiable. So if that price is too high, you can work with your financial aid counselor to lower it, and then they provide you the rest of the scholarship. And not every private school is like that, so it's really important to look at the financial aid websites for schools to see if they have those two terms, because that will make the difference, and that will mean if they are need blind and full need, you do not have to worry about the price tag. Don't look at it. It doesn't matter. I don't think about it because I know my family is going to pay what they can pay, and the rest is going to come from Georgetown.
And yeah, just to piggyback off of that, we're all low income first gen, so being need blind, full need, that comes in handy, especially when applying to scholarships and things of that. So let's say you are getting a full ride to go to Georgetown, your family, can't contribute anything, so Georgetown does give you a full ride, and you also have scholarships that can be in any form. The Gates Scholarship, the Greenhouse Scholarship. There's a variety of scholarships out there.
Yeah.
So, school is paid for, so you have leftover money. It's called a refund check. Comes much in need when you're away from your parents, away from everybody. You go to college, you're an adult, so that refund money comes in handy when you're sick, medical bills, phone bills, anything of that nature. So I think that's just a tip to know about scholarships and financial.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is about applying to outside scholarships. I know for me, even though Georgetown's financial aid package really helped me come here, I also did not sleep on those $1,000, $500, $200 scholarships. I really racked those up, and it really ended up helping and benefiting me too.
Yeah, no matter how small scholarships are, so especially for books and stuff, like books are pretty expensive in college, so applying to scholarships as many as possible always comes in handy.
And I just want to touch on something that Luis mentioned. Contrary to the popular belief, sometimes state schools are more expensive than private schools. So I'm from California, like I said, and I was choosing between Georgetown and UC Berkeley. And believe it or not, UC Berkeley was going to cost me $3,000 to go there. And I remember just thinking, like, how much more poor do they want me to be? But Georgetown is really, really generous, and virtually no other school has a program like GSP. A program that will give you financial support, and a program that will give you also emotional support, knowing that you have people there who understand your struggle. So it's also important to consider how much money they're giving you, but how much more support university is going to give you once you're in.
Yeah, I also want to add to that, a lot of schools like Georgetown, they consider like books and travel costs in the package, so don't worry about that as well. Like even if you're paying this much money, like that includes all of those travel costs, so it's not like they cover tuition and you have to cover the rest. Like they'll give you money for books, they'll give you money for food, like your meal plan will be included, so it's not like there are all these additional costs on top of that. Like that's all considered in there as well. And like what Deshaun was saying about the refund check, like I get money to like pay for my rent, I get money from the university to pay for my food, and so the university will sometimes pay you to go to college so that you can afford all those things. You're not additionally stressed on top of that stuff. I mean, and it does still happen, like if you want to send money home, which is real, like maybe you'll be a little bit more stressed, and that still does happen. I don't want to pretend that life is perfect and everything is paid for. Like you still run into that, but I don't think it's as much as people are concerned about, and I wouldn't want it to stop you from being able to go to your dream school. The next question that we're going to ask is if you can talk about the resources that undocumented students have at Georgetown.
Yeah, I can touch on that question. So I mentioned that I am an undocumented student. I'm currently under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA status, and so that's actually like one of the resources that one of the main points, one of the main reasons why I decided to come to Georgetown is the fact that the stance that Georgetown specifically has taken to find solutions for this issue and help its undocumented student population are immense in comparison to other schools. So, and again, this is one of those things that I didn't even know until I actually got to Georgetown and started researching like a little bit more and diving in deep. For example, Georgetown, when I was first applying to Georgetown, they had just opened up and put up a website specifically for undocumented students. So you can check that out. It's undocumented.georgetown.edu. If you want to learn more, there's a lot of information on there, frequently asked questions, a lot more about the resources that Georgetown has, and a mission statement in support from the president and like the rest of the faculty to support undocumented students. And so just seeing that, first of all, just was insane, because not many schools have that. And then I had the chance to also talk to a few students who were already at Georgetown, and they told me about the support that they get. And so just recently, Georgetown appointed a full-time point of contact person for undocumented students. So if we ever need any advice or just finding ways to navigate Georgetown being in the status that we are, we can go to her and she helps us out. And so those are just a few points that Georgetown has done for undocumented students, and they continue every day to be like a big voice in this issue. For example, our president puts out statements in support for DACA and the DREAM Act, for example. And so Georgetown has been very supportive in that end, and one of the biggest reasons why I decided to actually come here.
So just to add on to that, I'm also an undocumented student. I don't know if I mentioned this before. And Georgetown is, I think, the most supportive college institution to undocumented students. So more tangible things, they pay for your DACA renewal fees through Catholic Charities, which is a DC organization. Like we said, we have an undocumented student advisor who can help you from any, ranging from anything. And also, she covers TPS cases, and she helps you with problems with your family's legal status, so you don't necessarily have to be undocumented yourself, but if you have a mixed status family, she's also helpful. And also, just something kind of funny, I guess, the lead sponsor for DACA graduated from Georgetown, right. Senator Dick Durbin, so that's huge in his advocacy, and something that we really benefit from, is what I've seen.
Thank you so much for watching. Those are all the questions that we're going to ask here, but if you have other questions and you want to follow up, you can visit GSP, Georgetown Scholarship Program's website, which is gsp.georgetown.edu. If you have any questions for them, you can reach out and email them at gsphoyas@georgetown.edu. This information is in the description. We'll also provide the personal emails of people sitting here in the description. So please, please, please email us. We want to hear from you, and we want to be those mentors and those people who help you along your journey. So thank you for watching again.
I keep thinking this lifts up.
That's right.
That's right.
You said it.